The thing about a 6-year-old's smile is that it does not know how to lie. Adults smile to be polite. Adults smile because someone is watching. A 6-year-old smiles because she believes the moment is real. That is what makes what happened next so much worse. Lily was wearing her best dress. The one with the tiny sunflowers that Jess had found at a second-hand shop and altered to fit because buying new was not in the budget that month. Lily did not know it was second-hand. She thought it was special because her mother picked it out just for her. And in a way it was. They were driving to Jess's parents' house for the annual family photo shoot. Every year in November, the whole family gathered on the big porch of her parents' house, arranged themselves like a catalog cover, and smiled at a photographer named Dale, who had been doing this since before Lily was born. The photos became Christmas cards. The Christmas cards became proof that the family was whole, happy, together. Proof that mattered to Jess's mother Diane more than almost anything else. Lily was bouncing in her booster seat, kicking her feet against the back of the passenger seat in a rhythm only she understood. "Mommy, am I going to be in the front row again?" Jess glanced in the rearview mirror. Her daughter's face was pure anticipation. Last year, Lily had been placed in the front row between her two cousins, Aiden and Nora. She had talked about it for weeks afterward, like she had been given a medal. "I think so, baby. We will see where everyone fits. I want to be next to Nora." Nora said we could match. "That sounds perfect." Lily pressed her face against the window, watching the houses blur past. She was humming something, a song from school. She did it when she was happy. Jess knew every version of her daughter's hum, the happy one, the nervous one, the one she did when she was trying not to cry. Today it was the happy one, and that made Jess's chest tight because she knew what her daughter did not. That happiness in that family was always conditional. Jess was 31. She had been a single mother since Lily was 2. Her ex-husband Ryan had walked out when Lily was still in diapers and never looked back. No custody fight because he did not want custody. No child support battle because he had nothing to take. He simply vanished the way some men do when fatherhood turns out to require more than a decision. Jess moved back near her parents because she needed help. Not emotional help. Her parents were not the emotional help kind. She needed logistics. Someone to watch Lily when shifts overlapped. Someone to pick her up from daycare when Jess's car broke down for the 3rd time in 2 months. Someone to be a safety net. Her parents, Donald and Diane, provided that safety net the way a rope provides support to a climber. Technically functional. Always reminding you that you are hanging by a thread. Jess had a sister, Brooke, 2 years younger, married to a man named Kevin who worked in finance and talked about it constantly. They had 2 children, Aiden, who was 8, and Nora, who was 6, same age as Lily. In the family economy, Brooke was the investment that paid off. Jess was the write-off. It was not always obvious. It rarely is in families like this. It showed up in small things. The way Diane's voice lifted half an octave when she talked about Aiden's soccer games. The way Donald carried Nora on his shoulders at barbecues but told Lily she was too heavy when she asked. The way every refrigerator in her parents' house had photos of Brooke's kids in frames and photos of Lily held up with a single magnet that kept sliding down. Jess noticed. She always noticed. But she had spent years convincing herself it was in her head, that she was being sensitive, that she was projecting her own insecurities onto innocent moments. That is what her mother told her whenever she brought it up. "You are reading too much into things. We love all the grandchildren equally." Equally. That word did a lot of heavy lifting in that family. They arrived at the house. Cars were already parked along the curb. Brooke's SUV in the driveway because Brooke always got the driveway. Jess parked on the street. Lily unbuckled herself with the fierce independence of a child who has learned to do things on her own and scrambled out of the car holding a small bag. "What is that?" Jess asked. Lily opened the bag and pulled out a headband with a small silk flower on it. "Nora has one too. We planned it." Jess's throat tightened. "You two planned matching headbands?" Lily nodded seriously. "For the photo. So everyone knows we are best friends." They walked up the driveway. The front door was open. Inside, Diane was directing traffic like she always did, telling people where to stand, adjusting collars, complaining about the light. The photographer Dale was setting up his equipment on the porch. Brooke was in the living room with Kevin. Aiden was playing a game on a tablet. Nora saw Lily and immediately ran to her. They hugged like they had been separated for years instead of 5 days. "You brought it," Nora squealed, touching Lily's headband. "We match," Lily said. And both of them giggled with the pure unfiltered joy of 6-year-olds who have found their person. Jess watched them and felt something she rarely let herself feel. Hope. Maybe today would be good. It was not good. The photo session started on the porch. Dale arranged everyone the way he always did. Donald and Diane in the center, Brooke and Kevin on one side with their kids, Jess on the other side. Last year, Lily had been placed in the front row between Aiden and Nora. This year, Diane had other ideas. Actually, Diane said, stepping forward and tapping her chin like she was solving a geometry problem, "I think we should have just the grandchildren in the front row first. Then the full family." Jess nodded. That was fine. Lily was a grandchild. She would be in the front row. But Diane was not finished. She looked at Dale. "Let us do a few with just Aiden and Nora first. Then we will add everyone else." Jess felt something cold settle in her stomach. "Just Aiden and Nora?" For the first few frames, Diane said brightly. "You know how kids get fidgety. Better to get the important shots first." Important shots. Jess let those words sit in the air for a moment. She waited for someone to react. Brooke was adjusting Nora's collar. Kevin was checking his phone. Donald was looking at the sky like the weather was the most interesting thing happening. Lily was standing 3 feet away. She had heard, "Mommy, am I not important?" The question came out small and honest, the way only a 6-year-old can ask something that would shatter an adult. Jess dropped to one knee. "You are the most important person here. They just want to take a few extra pictures. You will be in them, I promise." Lily nodded. She believed her mother, because 6-year-olds still do that. They believe promises even when the air around them suggests they should not. Dale took the first round. Aiden and Nora on the porch steps, smiling. Perfect. Then the family shots began. Everyone arranged. Donald and Diane center, Brooke's family on the right, Jess and Lily on the left. Lily stood in the front row, right where she wanted to be, next to Nora, matching headbands, biggest smile in the frame. Dale took at least 20 shots. Some posed, some candid, some where the kids were making faces and the adults were pretending to be annoyed but actually laughing. It felt almost normal, almost like a family. Afterward, there was lunch. Diane had made sandwiches. Brooke had brought a salad that looked like it was designed by an architect. Lily and Nora sat at the kids' table and traded animal crackers like currency. Jess sat with the adults and tried to participate in a conversation that always seemed to flow around her like water around a rock. 3 weeks later, the Christmas cards arrived. Jess was at her kitchen table paying bills when the stack of mail came through the slot. Between the electric bill and a coupon for a pizza place she would never go to was an envelope with the family return address. She opened it expecting the usual. The posed photo, the scripted greeting, season's greetings from the family. She pulled out the card, thick stock, professional print. She looked at the photo and her brain did that thing it does when something is wrong, but you cannot immediately identify what. She looked at it for a full 5 seconds before she understood. Lily was not in the photo. Jess held the card closer. She scanned every face. Donald, Diane, Brooke, Kevin, Aiden, Nora, all present, all smiling. The porch, the same arrangement, the same day, but Lily was gone. Not standing in the back where you might miss her, not slightly cropped at the edge. Gone, removed, digitally erased. The space where Lily had been standing next to Nora was now just porch and railing and empty air, like she had never existed. Jess turned the card over. On the back, in Diane's handwriting, it said, "Happy Holidays from the family." The family, without Lily. Jess's hands were shaking. She put the card down, picked it up, put it down again. Her brain kept trying to find an explanation that was not the obvious one. Maybe it was a different photo. Maybe Dale used a shot from before Lily was added. Maybe it was an accident. She called Diane. No answer. She texted. The card just arrived. "Why is Lily not in the photo?" Diane responded 40 minutes later. "Oh, we used the earlier shots. The ones with just the kids came out better. Do not make a big deal out of it. Do not make a big deal out of it." The family motto. The thing they said every time they did something that would break a child and expected the mother to clean it up. Jess could have called back. She could have screamed. She could have driven over and thrown the card on the kitchen table and demanded an answer. But she did not. Because she had spent 31 years in this family, learning that confrontation does not work with people who have already decided you do not matter. They will just call you dramatic and close the door. Instead, Jess sat down and thought, not about how to scream, about how to make it impossible for them to pretend this did not happen. 2 days later, the worst moment came. the one Jess had been dreading. Lily's first-grade teacher, Mrs. Hernandez, had a tradition. Every December, she asked the students to bring in a family photo to display on the classroom wall, a holiday collage. The kids loved it. They would stand in front of the wall and point out their families to each other. That is my mom. That is my dog. That is my grandpa who snores really loud. Jess had not sent a photo yet because she had planned to use the Christmas card. Now she could not use it because her daughter was not in it. But Diane had sent one directly to the school. She did this every year. She mailed cards to everyone. The neighbors, the church, the dentist, the school. Lily came home from school on a Tuesday afternoon. She was quiet, not the humming quiet, the other kind. She walked in, put her backpack down, sat on the couch, stared at the floor. Jess knew immediately, "Hey, Bug, how was school?" Lily did not answer right away. Then she said in a voice so small, Jess had to lean forward to hear it, "Mrs. Hernandez put up the family photos today." Jess's stomach dropped. "I looked for me," Lily continued. "I looked in all the pictures. My cousins were there, Grandma and Grandpa were there. Aunt Brooke was there. You were not there, and I was not there." Jess got on her knees in front of her daughter. Lily's eyes were wet, but she was not crying. She was holding it in the way kids do when they have already learned that crying makes adults uncomfortable. "Nora asked me why I was not in the picture," Lily whispered. "I did not know what to say." Jess pulled her daughter into her arms and held her. She could feel Lily's small body trembling, not from cold, from the effort of trying to understand something that should never need to be understood by a 6-year-old. "Mommy, am I not in the family?" "You are my family," Jess said. "You are my whole family." Lily pulled back and looked at her mother with those big, honest eyes. "But am I in their family?" Jess could not answer, because the answer was clear, and it was sitting in an envelope on the kitchen table. After Lily fell asleep that night, Jess sat alone at the kitchen table for a long time. She did not cry. She was past crying. She was in that place beyond tears, where everything becomes very still and very clear. She picked up her phone and made 3 calls. The first was to her friend Dana, who was a graphic designer. The second was to Dale, the photographer. The third was to her grandmother, her father's mother. Eleanor. Eleanor was 82. She lived alone in a house she had owned for 40 years. She was small and thin, and her hands shook slightly when she held her tea. But her mind was a steel trap, and her moral compass had never wavered once in Jess's entire life. Eleanor was the one person in the family who had always treated Lily like she existed. "Grandma," Jess said, "I need to tell you something." She told her everything. The photo, the card, the school, Lily's question, "Am I not in a family?" Eleanor was quiet for a long time, so long that Jess wondered if the call had dropped. Then Eleanor spoke. Her voice was calm, the kind of calm that comes right before a storm decides to stop being patient. "Send me the card," Eleanor said. "Both versions, the one they sent out and the original photos from Dale." Jess blinked. "What are you going to do?" Eleanor paused. "I am going to give them a Christmas present they will never forget." The next 2 weeks, Jess worked quietly. Dana, the graphic designer, helped her create a new Christmas card. Just Jess and Lily, shot on Dana's phone in Jess's apartment. Lily in her sunflower dress and matching headband. Jess beside her, both of them smiling. Not performing, just happy. On the back of the card, Jess wrote, "Since my daughter was removed from the family Christmas card, here is ours. Merry Christmas from Jess and Lily, the family that shows up." She printed 50 copies. She mailed one to every person who had received Diane's original card, every relative, every neighbor, every church member, every teacher at Lily's school, every single one. She also mailed one to Eleanor, who smiled when she received it and placed it in the center of her mantelpiece, right next to the other card she had received, the original one, without Lily. Then Eleanor made her own calls. Christmas Eve arrived. Diane had planned her usual gathering. The house was decorated, the tree was up, the special china was out. The performance was ready. Jess was not invited. This was not unusual. Since the photo situation, Diane had gone cold. Not angry, cold. The kind of silence that says, "I know what you did, and I am punishing you by pretending you do not exist." Which, when you think about it, was exactly what the Christmas card had done to Lily. But Eleanor was invited. Eleanor was always invited because Eleanor was the matriarch, the source, the one whose approval everyone quietly needed and whose money everyone quietly wanted. Eleanor arrived at 6 p.m. She was wearing a burgundy blouse and black slacks and an expression that Jess would later describe as pleasant, like a loaded weapon. She greeted everyone warmly. She hugged Aiden and Nora. She complimented the tree. She accepted a glass of wine that she did not drink. She waited. After dinner, when everyone was settled in the living room, and Donald was half asleep in his recliner, and Diane was accepting compliments on the meal like she was receiving an award, Eleanor stood up. "Before we do presents," Eleanor said, "I would like to say something." The room went attentive. When Eleanor spoke, people listened. Not because she demanded it, because she had earned it over 82 years of being the only person in that family who consistently told the truth. "I received 2 Christmas cards this year," she said. Diane's smile flickered. Eleanor reached into her bag and pulled out both cards. She held them up side by side. The first one, she said, was from Diane and Donald. "Beautiful photo. Professional. Everyone looks wonderful." Diane relaxed slightly. "Everyone except Lily," Eleanor continued. She held up the card. "Because Lily was removed from this photograph." The room went rigid. Brooke's eyes widened. Kevin suddenly became very interested in his phone. Donald opened one eye from his recliner. Diane's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Surprise, denial, irritation, fear. "Mom, that is not what—" Diane started. Eleanor held up her other hand. "The second card," she said, "was from Jess and Lily." She held it up. 2 people, smiling. "Genuine?" She read the back out loud. "Since my daughter was removed from the family, Christmas card, here is ours. Merry Christmas from Jess and Lily, the family that shows up." A cousin coughed. An uncle shifted in his seat. Someone's wife gripped her husband's arm. "I have been in this family for 63 years, Eleanor said. "I have watched my children and grandchildren grow up and make choices, some good, some not. I have held my tongue many times because I believed people would correct themselves." Her eyes landed on Diane. "You edited a child out of a photograph," Eleanor said, and the word edited sounded like a verdict. A 6-year-old girl who stood on that porch in her best dress, with a flower in her hair, excited to be next to her cousin. "You looked at that photo and decided she did not belong." "Mom, it was not like that," Diane said. Her voice was shaking. "The earlier photos just looked better without." "Without what?" Eleanor asked. "Without your granddaughter?" Diane's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Eleanor turned to Donald. "And you let it happen?" Donald did not respond. He just stared at the carpet like it owed him money. Eleanor looked around the room one final time. Then she said the thing that changed everything. "I have spent the last 2 weeks with my lawyer." She let that sentence breathe. "As of this morning, my estate plan has been updated. The house, the savings, the investments, everything I have built over 60 years. Diane's face went white. Not embarrassed white, financial panic white. "It will all go to Jess and Lily," Eleanor said, "in a trust that I control. Not Diane, not Donald, not Brooke, not Kevin." The room was so quiet that Jess imagined she could hear the Christmas lights buzzing on the tree. Brooke stood up. "Grandma, you cannot be serious." Eleanor looked at her. "I am always serious. You should know that by now." "This is because of a photo?" Brooke's voice was rising. "A single photo?" "No," Eleanor said. "This is because of a pattern. And the photo was simply the first time I had proof that I could hold in my hand." She placed both cards on the coffee table, side by side. One with Lily erased, one with Lily smiling. "This is what you chose," she said to Diane. "And this is what it cost you." Diane started crying, real tears, the ugly kind that wreck your makeup and make your nose run. "Mom, please, we can fix this. We will include her, we will do another photo." "We will," Eleanor shook her head. "You cannot fix this with another photo, Diane. You fix this by understanding that Lily is not an accessory. She is not an afterthought. She is a child. And children remember everything." Eleanor picked up her bag. She nodded to the room. "Merry Christmas." Then she walked out. Jess heard about all of this the next morning when Eleanor called her. The old woman's voice was steady, but there was something underneath it, something that sounded like relief. "It is done," Eleanor said. "You did not have to do that." "Yes, I did," Eleanor said, "because if I did not, who would?" Jess was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "How did they react after you left?" Eleanor made a small sound that might have been a laugh. "Your mother cried for approximately 40 minutes. Your father went to bed. Brooke called Kevin's mother to complain. Kevin Googled estate lawyers on his phone during dessert. Of course he did, Jess said. Eleanor's voice softened. How is Lily? She is eating cereal, Jess said, looking at her daughter sitting at the kitchen table in her pajamas, carefully lining up Cheerios by size, because that is what Lily did when she was concentrating. She does not know about any of this. Good, Eleanor said. She should not have to carry this. That is our job. The aftermath unfolded slowly, the way consequences always do in families that have spent decades avoiding them. Diane called Jess 3 times in the first week. Jess did not answer. Diane left voicemails that started with anger and slowly dissolved into negotiation. The first one said, "You have no right to turn my mother against me." The second said, "We need to talk like adults." The third said, "Please, Jess, please just call me back." Jess did not call back. Not because she was being cruel, because she had nothing left to say to a woman who had looked at a photo of her grandchild and decided to erase her. Brooke sent a text that said, "I hope you are happy. You just destroyed this family over a picture." Jess replied with one line she noticed, at school, in front of her class. Then she blocked the number. Donald never called. Donald never said anything about anything. That was his role, the silent accomplice, the man who looked at the sky when his granddaughter was being erased and decided the weather was more interesting. Dale, the photographer, called Jess 2 weeks later. He sounded uncomfortable. "Your mother called me. She asked if I was the one who edited the photo. I told her no. She asked me to edit a new version with Lily back in. I told her I would not do that." Jess thanked him. Dale paused. "For what it is worth," he said, "your kid had the best smile in every shot. I noticed that day. She was the only one in the whole family who looked genuinely happy to be there." That sentence stayed with Jess for a long time. Eleanor did not waver. The trust was ironclad. She had worked with her lawyer for 2 weeks before the Christmas Eve dinner. Every detail was precise. Jess was the beneficiary. Lily was the secondary beneficiary. The house? The savings. 2 investment accounts. A small piece of land upstate that had been in the family for 3 generations. All of it redirected. All of it protected. Diane and Donald were not left with nothing. Eleanor was not cruel. She simply removed them from the line of inheritance and replaced them with the granddaughter and great-granddaughter they had tried to erase. The symmetry was almost poetic. You removed her from a photo. I removed you from the future. Brooke and Kevin hired a lawyer. The lawyer reviewed Eleanor's documents and told them there was nothing to contest. Eleanor was of sound mind. The trust was properly executed. The changes were legal and final. Kevin billed $800 for that conversation and did not speak to Brooke for 2 days afterward. 3 months later, Jess received a letter in the mail. Not from Diane. Not from Eleanor. From Nora, Brooke's daughter, Lily's cousin. The letter was written in purple marker on notebook paper with a sticker of a cat in the corner. "Dear Lily, I miss you. Grandma says you are not coming to Easter. I do not know why. I still have my headband. Do you still have yours? Please come back. Love, Nora." Jess read it at the kitchen table and cried for the first time in months. Not because of pain, because a 6-year-old girl had done what no adult in that family could do. She had simply said, "I miss you. Come back." Jess showed the letter to Lily. Lily read it slowly, moving her finger under each word. "Can I write back?" "Of course." Lily got a piece of paper and a green marker. She wrote, "Dear Nora, I still have my headband. I miss you too. Mommy says maybe we can have a play date. Love, Lily." She drew a picture of 2 girls holding hands, both wearing headbands with flowers. Jess mailed it the next day. She did not send it through Brooke. She sent it directly to Nora at the address she knew by heart. A small act of defiance, a small act of love. 2 weeks later, Brooke called. Not to apologize. To arrange a play date. Her voice was stiff, and her pride was clearly in physical pain, but she said the words. "Nora misses Lily. Can they see each other?" Jess said yes, because the feud was between adults. The headbands were between children, and children should not pay for what adults refuse to fix. The playdate happened at a park. Neutral territory. Lily and Nora ran to each other like magnets. They were wearing their matching headbands. They spent 2 hours on the swings and the slide and building something out of sticks that they called a fairy castle. Brooke and Jess sat on a bench 15 feet apart for the first hour, then 10 feet apart, then side by side. Brooke did not apologize directly. She said, "I should have said something about the photo. I knew it was wrong." Jess looked at her sister. "Yes, you should have." Brooke stared at her daughter on the swing. "Mom is not handling this well. She talks about the trust constantly. She says Grandma betrayed her." Jess almost laughed. She photoshopped a 6-year-old out of a family photo, and she thinks she was betrayed? Brooke flinched. "Yeah, when you say it like that." They sat in silence for a while. The girl screamed with joy on the swings. The sound was so pure, it hurt. "Is Grandma really giving you everything?" Brooke asked quietly. Jess nodded. Brooke swallowed. "I am not going to pretend that does not sting." Jess looked at her. "It was not supposed to sting you. It was supposed to protect Lily." Brooke was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I know. It was not forgiveness. It was not resolution. It was two sisters sitting on a bench watching their daughters love each other and realizing that the family they came from was broken and the family they were building might not have to be. 6 months later, Lily is 7 now. She has a new photo on the classroom wall. Not a professional one, not a porch shot with perfect lighting and coordinated outfits. It is a phone photo taken by Eleanor at her kitchen table. 3 people, Eleanor, Jess, and Lily. Lily is showing Eleanor a drawing. Jess is laughing at something Eleanor said. Nobody is looking at the camera. Nobody is performing, Mrs. Hernandez told Jess at pickup one afternoon. That is Lily's favorite photo on the wall. She tells everyone that is her great-grandma, who is 82 and still drives her own car. Jess smiled. She does tell everyone that. Mrs. Fernandez leaned closer. She also tells everyone her great-grandma is, quote, not someone you want to mess with. Jess laughed so hard she almost choked. That is accurate. Eleanor still visits every Sunday. She brings pastries from the Italian bakery on Main Street and sits at Jess's small kitchen table and drinks tea from a mug Lily painted for her that says World's Best Great-Grandma in wobbly blue letters. Sometimes Lily climbs into Eleanor's lap and they look at photos together. Real photos, unedited, full of imperfect smiles and closed eyes and someone always looking the wrong way. The kind of photos that show a family not as it wants to be seen, but as it actually is. Diane sent a card this year. A real one. Handwritten. It said, I am sorry. I want to make this right. I miss my granddaughter. Jess put it on the refrigerator. Not because she forgave her, because she wanted to remember what an apology looks like when it comes a year too late. And because Lily saw it and said, Is that from Grandma? Yes. Lily looked at it for a long time. Then she said, She spelled my name right this time. Jess did not ask what she meant. She already knew. So what do you think? Did the grandmother go too far or not far enough? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.